Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Linux Plus course. My name is Dean Pompilio, otherwise known as Polymath. Some of you might have seen some of the other courses that I've produced for cybrary. A little bit about my history. I've been an IT professional, as we see here, since 1989. I've held quite a few different job titles before becoming a technical trainer back in 2011. I've worked for a lot of government agencies, several international banks, credit card companies, and so forth. And I've been very fortunate to get some really great experience in all these different places that I've worked. And in a lot of those instances, I was managing Linux systems, sometimes dozens of them that I was responsible for. So I'm really hoping that all of you enjoy this class and all the material that we'll be covering. A big part of the Linux Plus exam is being able to work from the command line. I'll be demonstrating quite a few commands and different concepts throughout this course, and using all the available tools that to help illustrate all the concepts. And as you can see, we've got a very high-level overview of some of the things you're expected to know, but I'll go into that a little bit more detail for the individual chapters. Now, for this particular class, I built a virtual machine using the CentOS version of Linux. This is based on Red Hat Enterprise Linux, and it's free, of course, so that's always a good thing. And here's the page. You can go to centos.org about and read all about the CentOS project and look at documentation and other things that you might find interesting. It's definitely worth spending a little bit of time poking around on their website. And you could download that for free and build your own virtual machine using your favorite hypervisor. So, as I was saying just a minute ago, I'm going to be doing lots and lots and lots of demonstrations. You could think of these as miniature labs in a sense. You could try to copy what I'm doing if you wish. But the plan ultimately is to create labs on demand and make them available through the cybrary virtual environment. Those labs have not been created yet, so that's why I'd like you to stay tuned. But those will be coming at some point, and that'll give you much more detailed challenges in order to prove your mastery over the Linux material. All right, a little bit here about the exams. Both exams are 60 questions each with multiple choice format. You get 90 minutes. And you're supposed to have some experience like A+, Network+, and hopefully at least a year of experience as a Linux administrator. You could come into a class like this completely cold and not know anything about Linux, but that's going to be kind of difficult. It's better to have some practical knowledge. And if you build that CentOS VM, you can use it indefinitely, so you'll have that as your as a tool for your education. So breaking down the first exam, we can see that it's divided into 4 sections with a percentage indicator there showing how that what the emphasis is. We can see the main part of the first exam is lots of Linux commands, followed by learning about file systems, managing packages, and then the overall architecture. Now, I've created this course to map exactly to the exam objectives as stated by CompTIA. So when we're going through all the different sections, it may seem like things are kind of jumping around in a strange order, but that's the actual exam mapping that CompTIA provides on their website. So I've tried to stay with that consistently to make sure that it's easy for the student to know which section that we're in and what the various topics are within each section. So let's review these really quick. Underneath system architecture, we'll look at hardware settings and some of the considerations for what that means in a virtual machine environment. We'll also look at what's involved with booting the system and learn about all the different processes and steps that are required for a system to get into a usable state. And then we'll touch on run levels and boot targets, showing how to go from a text environment to a graphical environment, a multi-user environment with networking, and so on. Then we'll get into the installation of Linux, and I'll demonstrate how that's done. We'll look at hard disk layouts, some of the parameters you can change for your boot manager. We'll talk about shared libraries and why they are important to your installation of Linux. And then we'll touch on all three of the package management systems, the Debian method, and then RPM and Yum, Yum being what we would be using mostly for the CentOS installation. So we'll see what's involved with adding and removing packages. Then there's quite a bit here about commands. We'll look at how to do filtering with commands, how to use redirection, how to use input and output redirection, how to look for log files, how to do some editing, dealing with processes, changing their priority, killing processes. We'll also touch on regular expressions, and we'll finish up with everyone's favorite editor, which is VI. Our next section is covering all the aspects of file systems and the file system hierarchy. You need to understand where everything goes in a Linux system, so we'll have some focus on that. But also looking at how to partition a disk, how to mount and unmount file systems, how to set quotas for users so that they don't use too many resources. And we'll also get into permissions of files and where they should be located on a system, in addition to hard links and soft links. We'll see what's involved with that. Then we move on to the next exam. This one has 6 different sections instead of 4, and it's broken down a little bit differently as far as the percentage. But let's go through these real quick and see what's involved. We start off with learning a little bit about shell scripting and how to write some simple scripts. And we'll also touch on the use of one of the freely available databases that you can install for your Linux system, the Maria database. Then we'll look at our window managers and display managers and review some of the accessibility settings for people with certain kinds of disabilities, like sight or hearing related disabilities. Even special capabilities for using a keyboard if you don't have the full use of all 10 fingers, for instance. Then we'll look at the creation of users and groups and how to schedule jobs, and also how to specify that your system should use your language of choice. We'll look at some of the ways to create those settings. Then we'll talk about the advantages of using network time protocol, how logs are generated on the system, where they're stored. We'll get into email and also cover a little bit about how to set up printers. It's kind of a wide variety of things underneath essential system services. Then we have networking. So we'll go into some of the details about how an IP address is constructed, what CIDR notation is, what classful notation network ranges are. We'll talk about public addresses and private addresses. Also going through some troubleshooting sections and figuring out what is involved with setting up DNS for a client system. And then lastly, we have the security module, where we'll go into lots of different aspects of security settings on a system, some of the system configuration files that are responsible for that, trying to harden the host to reduce the attack surface is the general idea. And then we'll wrap up the course with learning a little bit about encryption using SSH and the GNU Privacy Guard. All right, let's get started. I hope you enjoy the course, and I look forward to hearing your feedback. Thank you.